Good evening and welcome to this ninth round of the BTCC 1996 Championship hosted by HSO. Tonight coming to you from Scotland and the Knockhill circuit, just a few miles west-southwest, if I'm not mistaken, of Edinburgh. But after last round at the Silverstone Grand Prix, the F1 support races that they were, the standings are such that Peter Blom in his Honda Accord leads the championship on 157 points, with Richard Coxon passing Grégoire Goissin in that event to go up to second in his Renault Laguna on 142 points, and Grégoire Goissin is third in his Volvo 850 on 134 points. Jan Titz is fourth in his Audi A4 on 121 points, and then there's a bit of a gap to Jakob Fredriksson in his Vauxhall Vectra, which he jumped into after 5 rounds of the championship, I think. So he's a bit of a latecomer into the championship chase, but he's been doing well so far, so hopefully he'll continue to do so and spice up the championship even more, so that we can have a 5-horse race. In 6th position is Blom's teammate Richard Wilkes, and he's on 64 points. David Yates is unfortunately not racing with us, though he'll hopefully be able to do 1 or 2 one-off starts in the championship due to work commitments, but he stands on 59 points. Yves Placet in the BMW, who has had an upswing since round 7, is 8th on 59 points, equal to David Yates, but Yates is higher placed because he's had more better placed results, I think. Richard Soania is 9th, and he too is sadly not racing with us due to school commitments, but those 41 points he accumulated in the first 2 rounds, and as we can see, he clearly was very fast when he raced with us. And 10th in the overall championship is Matthias Weber in the Nissan Primera, and he's on 38 points, and I'm fairly sure he'll be looking to pass Richard Soania tonight, but we'll see how that goes for him. And in the Independence Championship, the Total Cup, Dave Simmons is still in the lead after missing last round due to hardware issues, which I believe he's been able to sort out, if I have my sources sorted out properly. Honza Mild is second, our early rounds championship leader in the Independence, in his Ford Mondeo of the Team Dynamics team, and he's on 149 points. Ivan Andersen sorry, I've managed to mess up the flags, but anyway, Ivan Andersen of Norway, not Britain, is I changed most of this, but I clearly made some small mistakes. Give me a moment, I will just have a quick look to see so that I'm saying the correct thing and not the wrong thing here. Because I don't want to be lying to you all. Let's see. Yep, it's me. No. Yep, that's why. I unfortunately missed out on changing the names in the standings, but I'm did properly sort out everything else. But it is Mick Chapman is in 3rd place on 120 points in his Ford Mondeo, and Eivind Andersen of Norway lies 4th on 117 points. And 5th in the total cup is David Saber, who is a late joinee of the championship as well, but he's had some very good qualifying efforts, and last round he managed to take his first win in a total cup race, so that's very nice to see. But now let's make our way onto the server. There we go. As we are looking at the exit of Clark Curve, a uphill right-hander as one of the Peugeots streams through. Knockhill itself is a very small and twisty circuit with pretty remarkable elevation changes. I think it's 66 meters, or just under 110 feet or something like that. As I don't use feet, I had to make a quick mental arithmetic. But anyway, let's see if we can find anyone going around the circuit. This looks like Peter Blom, so let's ride on board with him and have a look at this, in my view, wonderful circuit. As he comes around Taylor's hairpin, going up the start-finish straight. As we reach the top of the circuit, and now we're heading down into Duffy's Dip, a right-hander. As it looks like we are going to head, looks like his run is done, so I'd assume everyone will be heading into qualifying in just a moment here. We are indeed, so we'll just have to wait a moment or two as the server has to load everyone and everything in for the new session, and there we go. And it'll also be interesting to see which drivers has this circuit down pat, because it's a circuit of elevation and a lot of turns. It's you don't have that many chances to relax around here. You have one really long straight, but it's still curved, so you have to keep a bit of a look. But here we are on board with one of the Renaults, I believe this is. So let's head around a lap here as we go into Duffy's Dip. Right-hander down this left-hander, and now into McIntyre's. This fairly tight right-hander. And this little kink here is Butcher's, where we go light, and here we're into the chicane where we go light again. Right out onto the curb there as one of the Audis moves out of the way, and into Clark Curve, named after the Scot Jimmy Clark. Down Railway Straight. This is part of a old railway line that ran along part of the racetrack where it was made, and this is again Taylor's hairpin, which is where we will see most of the passes around here. We could also see some passes into Duffy's Dip, And if anyone makes a mistake through here, sorry, it was one of the voxels we were on board with, into McIntyre's we could also see some passes due to mistakes. And the same goes for up here in after the chicane in Clark Curb, because people can make mistakes and happen, or get a good run through there and go up the inside here. The lap times are about 54 seconds in length around this 1.3 mile circuit, or about 2.5 kilometers. As we can now see who is currently setting the pace, and it's actually Peter Blom on a 52.766. So that's a pretty speedy lap right there. Obviously everyone will be running with lower fuel in the qualifying session, and that's the reason for the faster lap times. Always Peter Blom goes over, unfortunately. So let's go on board with, I believe this is again one of the voxels. This is a great camera angle for this Knockhill circuit. So I'll just be silent for a little bit and allow you to watch a lap from this angle as well, where we will see a lot of the elevation. As we could see, he had a bit of a moment in McIntyre's, but otherwise looked pretty spectacular. Third, I think this is... No, sorry, actually Richard Coxon just banged in a pole position lap after we jumped to him. So Richard Coxon is now on pole position in his Renault, all getting held up by one of the Peugeots. Unfortunately for him, but with the short length of the circuit, that is one of the problems you have to work around. It's also be interesting to see which drivers will be able to deal with the traffic that will surely occur around here in the race. As we heard in the background, someone having a bit of a moment in Taylor's hairpin. Always Peugeot ahead there, maybe Svenja Tits, I think, had a moment in Duffy's Stip. But what we'll see here, I believe, will be very close racing, though in qualifying people will struggle a little bit because they will be trying really hard, but you can only try so hard before the circuit bites you, especially with these sausage, as they call them, curves, or the anti-cuts. That is on a modern layout. Unfortunately, there are a few Knockhill circuits around with proper, up to the detail that HSO would like to run circuit sets. We've decided to take a slightly newer layout version of the circuit. Oh, as we can see, we're big off for Richard Coxon there in the chicane. That will probably be the biggest
User joined your
problem
channel.
spot for everyone. As we are joined by Jason White. Good evening, Jason.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. This promises to be a pretty exciting evening.
Yeah, you're not wrong. As I said in the forum, it'll be great racing to watch and race with, but likelihood of mistakes and problems showing up may prove catastrophic to some.
Yeah, those sausage things in the curbs are not very friendly.
No, that's very true. I believe that in qualifying, people are trying a bit harder than they will in the race, and that's why almost everyone is hitting the anti-cuts in one way or another.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, hopefully it'll be a little bit more. There'll be a little more sanity in the race. I don't know. We'll find out.
Actually, I noticed you're in the Ford Mondeo, so you've been drafted in for this round, or will you
Well,
enter
it appears
further rounds?
it appears that Ben's not going to be attending. So if that's the case, I'm gonna drive his car. He wasn't here for the last 2 rounds either. So, but seemed like a competent enough car to be driving. I tried the Peugeot earlier, and the poor thing is just too heavy, especially for a track like this, where being nimble is very important. But I had this evening free because at school we're on break for the semester, so I figured, okay, well, I've got the time, I may as well. Should be fun.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, and then Sunday we got a big day coming up.
No, yeah, that's true. On Sunday we'll be having the time trials for the Indy 500 that will be running in a bit under 2 weeks' time, I think. On the
1.5 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, 1.5 weeks. So the time trials is this Sunday. I'm not entirely sure between which times because I haven't had a proper look.
We'll be starting the time trials at the regular HSO time of 2000 hours CET, but we'll be going on the air with the broadcast probably 1:30ish, just to get a bunch of things out of the way, like explaining the rules and looking at a bunch of graphics and stuff like that. So, but 2000 hours promptly is when they start.
And then I'll probably be qualifying one of the cars myself, but Jason White and I think David Yates will be joining you in the broadcast booth for that event, for that qualifying.
Yeah, it should be a pretty. The broadcast booth will have a revolving door on it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people coming in and out.
Certainly.
And there's going to be, and everybody's going to get 5 minutes of TV time, guaranteed.
And then
some more if something happens.
That's very true. And then in 1.5 weeks' time, the Indianapolis 500 will be run, the 1988 championship event, which will probably be a very interesting event as well. A lot of good racing and surely heartbreak as well.
I'm sure. We'll see who can outlast everybody else for 500 miles.
Very true. I think the past winners of the event has been Richard Coxon, if I'm not mistaken, and
I've got that statistic actually right in front of me. Hang on. Well, not in front of me, but I can call it up very quickly. Yeah, past winners of the race. 2009 and 2010, it was won by Richard Bouchard, a French driver who we haven't seen at HSO in a long time. Those were both the 1960 mod. 2011 to 2013, no race was held. 2014, JP Camacho won with the 1960 mod. Richard Coxon won in 2015. In the 1973 mod, he was driving the Gulf McLaren back then. And then 2016, last year, Peter Blom won with the 73 mod. He was driving Graham McRae's STP Eagle.
yes, that's true.
So 50% of the time the race has been won by someone named Richard.
Well, that
Your
proves.
statistician nuts.
Well, that if that is going to come true, then it's Richard Coxon or Richard Wilkes who will be. Oh, as we see.
Yeah, one of those two.
Or as we see Gregor Gosset hitting one of the Audis into the hairpin. It's unfortunate, but yeah, that will
Well,
be.
I'll let you get back to watching the qualify. I'm going to see if I can put together one more lap here before it's done, but have fun watching the race. Get ready with those oh dearie me's. I think we'll need them.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I will try to stay on top of everything. It'll be hectic in the first 10 laps, I think.
Alright, well, talk to you later on. Have fun.
Thank you, and the same to you, and good luck.
Thanks.
User disconnected from your channel.
So that's Jason White. Thank you very much to Jason for joining us and reminding me of the Indy 500 event. As we are following Gregor Gosset on the track, who is currently second on the grid, 1/1000th of a second behind Peter Blom. So that's a absolutely incredible qualifying situation. So let's ride on board with him for a lap and see how. Oh dear me, that's one of the Fords coming out. I think that was Jason White. That's very unfortunate for as Greg takes a lot on the inside of the track there. Not entirely sure that was completely legal, but definitely looked fast at least. Through the chicane, he hits the anti-cuts, but does a good job of keeping the car on the track. And now into Clark's. Looks like a good run through there. As he flashes the Vauxhall ahead to tell him that he's quicker, but the Vauxhall is heading onto a hot lap himself. As Greg runs deep in the hairpin and ends his lap and goes for another one. But having spoken with Jason, let's jump on board with him and follow with a lap with the V6 Ford Mondeo. And we can notice he's taking slightly different lines because of his V6 engine. There's a lot of grunt in the engine, but he is somewhat. As Greg. Greg gets in the. Unfortunately, gets in the way of Jason, but we could see there when Jason pulled away from the hairpin that he got a lot of wheel spin in the car. And that is one of the biggest issues with as Greg goes up on 2 wheels ahead. And there's a big crash, unfortunately. And it is the final. I believe this will be the final lap for anyone who's starting their laps. And it is unfortunate that Ben Paulet, who would be driving this Ford in accordance to the sign-up thread, unfortunately won't be with us, but it's good to see that the Jason takes the time when he has the time to join us in the tin tops. He is driving in the Kart 88 Championship. One of the, I think he's in a Lola chassis, driving, if I'm not mistaken, Scott Brayton's car. And let's see what happens at the front of the field. Gregor Gosset is not on a lap. Let's see if anyone else is on a lap. Jan Titz just finished his lap, but did not improve. Dave Simmons has joined us. He's usually a bit late into qualifying, but it's good to see that he's made it. It looks like only Juha Boos to finish his run here, as he peels off into the pit lane. So once again, we can congratulate Peter Blom on taking the pole position for the first race in the 9th round of the BTCC 1996 Championship from Knockhill. 1/1000th of a second ahead of Grégoire Guasset in his Volvo 850. So that's, as I said, a very spectacular difference in speed, with them being so closely matched. Let's see, in the Independence Cup it would look like Dylan Canton actually in the Yacht Motorsports Honda Accord is on pole position, about 2/10 ahead of David Saber, who usually takes pole position. But we can see also, looking at this, although it's about the same position, but where the independents usually qualify, we can see that they are sort of clumped up from 13th to 16th. And then there's the Toyota there, and one of the Cavaliers, and the second Team Dynamics Ford right there. And well, for the race victory here, it'll be very close and difficult to call, I think. But I would be surprised if not at least one of the races goes to either Greg or Peter, considering they had, I think, about 2/10 or so to Richard Coxon in third. I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a look. Actually, Jakob Fredriksson is a bit further down than I would have expected. Yves Placé has done a good job, as has Ray Riddell and Miroslav Havlik. That's some really stellar qualifying positions for both Miroslav in the Peugeot and Ray in the Renault. They have generally during the season been outside the top 10. It's nice to see that someone else is able to break into the top 10. But generally, I think we'll see some really good racing and probably some spills as well, due to the anti-cuts and the way the circuit is. But we'll see what happens. I see a bit of a practice race going on here between Johan Boos and I think this is Jakob Fredriksson, who, as Fredriksson runs very deep in the tailor's hairpin, loses out quite a bit. Very much easier to do than you would expect with corner being uphill to outbrake yourself, but there aren't that many markers for that turn, or sorry, for that braking point I should say. So it's a lot about feeling and hoping you get it right. Also, this hairpin right here is also a difficult one. I think it was Team Harby who said once that the only way to go through there is turn in, close your eyes, and hope you come out the other side the right way around. And he himself, Harvey that is, had a bit of a moment in 1997 where he got hit by, I believe it was Now I've completely drawn blank on the name, but one of the Ford Mondeos of the time, driven by another former British champion, Will Hoy. For God's sake, Will Hoy was driving that Ford. They had a bit of a nudge because the chicane is how it is. Harvey span round and lost out quite a bit in that situation. And here we have another small little battle going on, a bit of a practice battle, you could say, between Yves Placet and the Renault duo of Vidal and Coxon. Oh, and we can see the BMW is quite a handful around here. It's just the same in modern day. The only place they are, I think they've been really quick in recent times, is the hairpin, which would be probably where they'll be strong here as well. And back in the day, from 96 to 96, 97, when Audi was running with the A4 Quattro, they were outstanding on this circuit with their four-wheel drive. They usually won the races by 10 to 15 seconds because they could put a lot more power down, and the four-wheel drive system helped them stay on the track a lot easier than the two-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive cars of the day. So wouldn't be that surprising if Jan Titz takes the win here as well due to his four-wheel drive Audi. And of course he's a good driver as well, and that always helps. It'll also be a tricky start for some of the drivers here, because apart from the 2, maybe 3 front rows, everyone else will be starting at an uphill angle. So that will be so I think that will surely help the four-wheel drive Audi and the rear-wheel drive BMW. The only thing that is a bit troublesome for them is that the racing surface, as we can see, is having a bit of a moment, and here comes Coxon up the inside to pass a Clark curve, kind of pass I was hinting at earlier. Is that the run to the first turn from the start line is fairly short. There's been a big incident. I'd assume someone was trying to do a practice start and they got hit up the rear pretty hard. Now we had Yves Placet looking up the inside in the hairpin, but the wider run off the turn is what gives Coxon a position back. My apologies for leaving you for a moment there. I just wanted to point out something to the stewards and everyone running, so that they are aware that that probably isn't allowed, what I've seen some do. But we are about a minute away from the race start, and again, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. The first 4 or 5 laps will be very hectic indeed, as everyone will be very cramped on this very small circuit. As we are now loading into the race. And the grid walkthrough will be fairly quick here, because the circuit is so short. But hopefully there will be no issues with that. So on pole position once again is Peter Blom, 1/1000th of a second ahead of Grégoire Goissin, also known as Greg. And third, the Renault of Richard Coxon. Let's actually do it like this, because the cameras early on is a bit questionable. As we can see, Alan Forster unfortunately starting from the pit lane for this race by the looks of things. Fourth for Jan Tits in the Audi. Fifth for Miroslav Havlik in the Peugeot. Ray Riddell got 6th in his Renault Laguna. 7th for Yves Placé. I think he'll be looking for a good start in this uphill starting position. 8th for Richard Wilkes. Oh, it looks like we are going straight to the race here. That's a bit... I believe that's a mistake on the server. Without question, that's a mistake with the server. But the race is underway. Hopefully that'll be sorted out for the next race. But Grégoire Goissin is in the lead. Peter Blom is second, with Jan Tits third and Miroslav Havlik fourth. So Richard Coxon has lost out a lot. Here's Ray Riddell. Where's Richard Coxon gone? I see. Oh my dearie me, he's retired from the race. Oh yeah, okay, so there's a server restart, because the settings was a bit was unfortunately wrong. There should be a formation lap, but by the looks of things, we'll be going to do the not do a server restart. We'll just so there's a bit of a mistake with the server. Hopefully that'll be sorted out for the next race. So we unfortunately won't do a grid walkthrough because we don't quite have the time. Okay, there is a formation lap now. My apologies. So that was very strange, but anyway, let's get going. We were at Placé 7th. Richard Wilkes got 8th. 9th for Jacob Fredriksson in the Vauxhall. And 10th for Matthias Weber, who looks to be unfortunately starting from the pit lane. 11th for Nikos Diakopoulos, a newcomer to the series from Greece. It's nice to see a new face in the series. Juha Boos got 12th. 13th for Dylan Canton in the Privateer Honda. 13th for David Saber. 14th for Dave Simmons. Oh, sorry, 15th. 16th for Mick Chapman. 17th for Oliver Thiem, another newcomer, Danish fella driving the Nissan Primera. Hopefully he'll have a good debut here at HSO. Jason White got, would that be 17th? Or 18th? Better check. 18th. 19th for Ivan Anderson in the Toyota Carina. 20th for Philippe Martinelli in the second Audi. And Alan Forster got 21st, Simon Wattman 22nd, Honza Mill 23rd, and Svenja Titz 24th. So those are our runners for this event. As we'll be looking to go, we'll be running on board with 3rd place Richard Coxon for the start, so that we can see the lights. Just waiting for everyone to line up on the grid. Taking a bit of time, unfortunately, for everyone to line up, but hopefully there won't be any issues. Okay, there we go, lights on. Apologies for the switching there. And green lights are on and the races go. Oh, as Jan Titz goes a bit aggressive. Oh, as oh dearie me, there's a big incident in right here at the start, going down through Duffy Step into McIntyre's. A lot of cars. Oh, as one of them rolls over. 77. That's Mick Chapman. Hopefully, he ends up on the right way up. He does. That's very nice to see. Oh, which Renault was that? Someone spins in the chicane. I think that's Oliver Team. Oh, it's Richard Coxon is one of those who's lost out a lot, and this is indeed Oliver Team. And we have Greg Guasset in the lead. Peter Blom just right behind him in second. Richard Wilkes has gone from 8th to 3rd on the opening lap, so he's gained a lot. Miroslav Havlik is in 4th place with Yves Placé in 5th. 6th for Jakob Fröksen, 7th for Ray Riddell, 8th for Juha Boos, 9th looks like Nikos Taikopoulos, and Dave Simmons is running in 10th in the lead in the Privateer Cup, so the Privateer Cup has shuffled up a bit as well. Wow. Okay, but back to the front again. Looks like it's more or less spaced out for most of the runners, so it's Taikopoulos runs a little bit wide in the chicane. But here comes Philippe Martinelli, who's made a good start. He's up to 11th from, I think, 20th or 21st on the grid. As he's having a small look on Dave Simmons going into the hairpin. Oh, tries to sell him a dummy. He's up the inside. Oh, my apologies. And it looks like he is passed indeed. And gets a good run out of the hairpin with his 4-wheel drive. And that's one position gain, and up into the top 10 goes Philip. That's nice to see him having a good race. But at the front, they are inseparable at the moment. Greg and Peter Blom going at it hammer and tongs, more or less at least. No passing opportunities yet, but as we saw in qualifying, they are very closely matched. So I have a hard time seeing them pull away from one another in any way, shape or form. Oh, and it looks like Juha Boos has lost his rear wing. So that car will be a bit of a handful at especially Duffy Step and the chicane. Down into Duffy Step we go, and we can see he goes a bit sideways. Front wheel drive helps him to save it though. As Taikopoulos comes out up right behind him. Almost gives him a small nudge right there. Whereas Philippe Martinelli was looking up the outside of Taikopoulos going through butchers. That's not quite the place to try and pass. But yeah, they all survive, so that's all good. Oh, actually Jan Tits is down a bit, so it's that. Oh, that's Jan Tits. So Jan Tits has lost out. Sorry, I thought that was Philippe Martinelli. I noticed the second Renault a bit further behind. Oh, as David Saber had to shortcut the hairpins to avoid contact. Oh, as here comes Trycopoulos with a run on Juha Boos, but he backs out of it. Decides to bide his time a little bit more. Was here? Oh, Philippe is really quick through butchers. Oh, as Juha Boos goes sideways, he may hold up Trycopoulos just a little bit, and that gives Jan Tits a chance to go up the inside of the Volvo in Clark, but he's not able to do so. A bit further behind, Philippe Martinelli is in a fight with Dylan Canton. Canton looking up the inside in the hairpin, but Philippe is able to brake just a little bit later and holds on to his position. And here is now David Saber right behind Dylan Canton, looking for an opportunity to pass, looking up the inside, and Duffy's dip, but backs out of it. And right behind these two is Richard Coxon, who's trying to recover up into the top 10 and hopefully score a few points in the championship fight. He is currently second in the championship, so he will be wanting to score as many points as possible. Simon Wattman right there, Oliver Thiem making his way back up the grid after his spin on the opening lap. The second lap it may have been. Can't see the number of that one. Mick Chapman is a bit further behind, as is his teammate. And Alan Forster trying his best. And there's Mick Chapman, so of course Oliver Thiem goes up to put a lap on him, so Chapman has had some kind of issue. No, sorry, that's for positions, so both of them has had issues to end up almost a lap behind, unfortunately. But only one out of the race so far is Jason White. And up the front it's still Greg in the lead with Blummer right behind him, doing his best to keep up and maybe have a go at the French Volvo driver. And Richard Wilkes is still in third, pulling away from the group behind him, so he's enjoying a nice quiet run so far. And Miroslav Havlik is still in fourth as well, so he is having a nice race around Knockhill this evening. And Knockhill is one of those circuits where you sort of have to tailor your driving according to the circuit, because you can't really drive it the way you'd usually drive. Which is an interesting bit to keep in mind when we see, for example, Miroslav Havlik having a good race around here. Considering he has struggled earlier in the season. Always back here we have All for One and all of that going on between Trycopoulos, Boos and Tits. As I believe Trycopoulos has just passed Juha Boos. Oh, as Juha Boos hits the anti-cut. It looks like Jan Tits has gone by. So that's unfortunate for Juha, but it's one of those things that you have to try and avoid. And Simmons is still in the lead in the Privateer Cup race, so that's good for him to be able to stretch his lead in the championship there, if he finishes first. As we can now see a fight between Oliver Thiem and Simon Wattman. a Scandinavian battle, which just looks like team will have a look up the inside into Duffy's dip, and he manages to pull it up, and Watman gives him the room he needed to make the move. So a nice clean pass and good understanding from both drivers. Whereas team goes up the inside of Svenja Tits, who's a lap or so behind and staying out of the way to her best ability, which is nice to see. Whereas I think that's Philippe Martinelli still defending from Dylan Canton up ahead. It was indeed. As Jan Tits is now putting pressure on Tykopoulos to try and make another position up. As Tykopoulos goes on two wheels going through the chicane, but the engine in that Volvo, coupled with Tits having a bit of having to shake up just a little bit to avoid hitting Tykopoulos' Volvo, he holds his position. But here comes Tits up the inside, an audacious outbraking maneuver. Tykopoulos sees Tits coming and leaves him the room needed. But here we can see the difference in speed in a straight line. Because Tykopoulos runs around outside of the turn and brings just a few extra kilometers an hour coming out of the hairpin and gets back by before Duffy's dip. Whereas Tits again has a bit of a move, this time in McIntyre's. But he isn't able to make the move. Tykopoulos has a better run through the chicane this time around, so Tits has no opportunity of a move going into Clark's. But he gets a brilliant run coming out of there. But he has to go around the long way round the railway bend, as that curved straight is called. But here he comes up the inside in the hairpin, another audacious outbraking maneuver. And he stays to the inside, so he leaves Tykopoulos' room, but looks like he has made the pass stick this time around. But here looks like Tykopoulos has a bit of a run. Let's see if we can make the move around outside. He can't, but he does try for a slight cutback, gives Tits just a bit of a nudge, but all is good by the looks of things. So that's that position taken by Jan Tits, who moves up into 8th position. A bit further up, Jakob Fredriksson has made his way by Miroslav Havlik, so Havlik is struggling a little bit in the race. A bit more fuel in the car, and as Jason mentioned in the pre-race chat that we had, he felt the Peugeot is a little bit too heavy, which I'd say is probably very true indeed. In 97 they managed to squeeze a few extra horses out of the engine, and then the car became very competitive after about halfway through the season, with the Peugeots getting I think 4th and 6th or something in one of the Silverstone races of that season of that year. But back to the front. Oh, Greg must have made a mistake somewhere, because Peter Blom is now in the lead. So Peter Blom has taken the lead of this race as we are nearing the halfway point. We are 2 or 3 laps from the halfway point of the race. And as mentioned, the Honda is now in the lead with a Volvo 850 of Greg Wasser in 2nd position. Presumably he hit the curb at either the anti-cuts at either the Duffy's dip, or he had a moment at the chicane right here. But either way, he has dropped down to 2nd position. So the ever-consistent Peter Blom, who's now coming up onto lap traffic in the form of Svenja Tits, as he flashes her to tell her that he's there. Oh dearie me! Holy God! Ooh. Wow, what happened there? Let's have a quick look to see if we can find out. Oh, she nudged the grass on the braking, and that's why she locked up the rears and went hard into the wall on the inside. Oh, span out onto the track again, and that's why we could see Greg heading for the grass. And she then quickly rolls onto the grass to get out of the way and gets going once again. We were very lucky that there weren't any more contact than there were. I don't think there were any, so that looked very, very scary indeed. As Pedro is now closing up onto, looks like Simon Watman and presumably Hansa Mild. Yes, it is, with a yellow banner on his windows. But Havlik is still holding on to. Oh, as we can see, Ray Redal going up on 2 wheels. Oh yeah, he rolls over in the end, but he ends up on his wheels. So I don't think he'll lose more than a couple of positions right here. Oh, he loses quite a few actually. Struggles to get going. He hit the curb at McIntyre's, and that's all she wrote for that bit, unfortunately. So Havlik is now in a safe 5th position by the looks of it. 6th for Jan Tits, who has made a nice recovery from 11th or 12th after the first lap kerfuffle, as Richard Coxon and Ty Koplos is having a bit of a battle right here for 7th and 8th. As Ty Koplos looks up the inside at Duffy Stiff. Ooh, yeah, he has to back out of it. There weren't enough room for them to go too wide through there. Ooh, as Juha Bors comes up on Svenja Tits, and Svenja struggles a little bit to get out of the way, but there she goes up at Butchers and into the hairpin, the chicane. Dave Simmons goes by, and Ray unfortunately gets held up in the chicane, but here he goes into Clark's, gets up the inside and goes past. And Ivan Anderson is in 2nd position in the Privateer class, so he'll be happy with that, I'm sure. Having a good event here so far. Having struggled in the previous couple of events with partly some offs, and then a bit of an issue with the starting from pit lane procedure, unfortunately, at Silverstone. But back here we have a very enticing battle between Canton and Martinelli. Ooh, Canton goes up on 2 wheels. I think he was able to hold on to it. Whereas Philippe has a moment. I think, yep, he makes contact with the barriers, unfortunately. But he is still in the race, so that's all shuffled around. Oliver, I believe this is Oliver T. Let's have a check. Oh, sorry, Matthias Weber goes by, so he is now up into 14th position, getting by both Dylan Canton and Philippe Martinelli in the space of 2 turns. And it looks like Martinelli is struggling a little bit with understeer in that Audi. Whereas Matthias Weber hits the curb, manages to hold on to it, getting past Svenja Tits, who is soldiering on, trying to finish the race and have a bit of fun at the same time. Hopefully that is the case, even though she is carrying a bit of damage. And here we have a side-by-side moment between Simmons and Ridal, although I believe Simmons may have been getting out of the way if he feels Ray was quicker, as they are fighting for different championships. And Dave has a decent lead to Eivind. So it'll be interesting to see if they can catch back up to Juha Boss right here and giving a bit of a run for 9th place. And it definitely looks like Ray is a little bit quicker than Juha Boss at least at the moment. As we can see, we broke very late, ran pretty deep in the hairpin, but so did Juha Boss, so I believe he gained just a little bit in that braking zone. As we are now entering lap 22. Of this 35 lap race. Oh, Juha getting very sideways, braking for McIntyres, and that's all the incentive Ray needed to close right up to the boot lid of that Ford Mondeo. And up ahead it looks like Richard Coxon has been able to pull away from Nikos. Yep, that looks to be a bit of a gap between them as Juha Boss goes defensive into the hairpin. Ray Riddell tries to go around the outside. Only tries to cut back, but he's not quite able to make it work, and Juha holds on to the position for now. So it looks like this will be a very good battle to watch for a couple more laps. As Ray takes a lot of the off track, going through what is nowadays called Leslie's. Back in '96, that left-hander and between Duffy's and McIntyre's didn't actually have a name. It was named Leslie's in, I believe, 2009 or 2010 in honor of David Leslie, the Scottish touring car and sports car racer, who is one of the best drivers in the British Touring Car Championship to never take the championship crown. Well, it looks like one of the BMWs. Yves Placé. So Yves Placé has had a bit of a moment as he has slipped back. Let's actually see if we can. Oh, sorry. Is he even further? Someone's up on the side. That's one of the Independence Fords by the looks of things. Can't quite see who that is. But that's very unfortunate. That here comes Ray Riddell around outside again. Oh, there's contact between Boss and Riddell. Riddell takes the position. Not sure Juha will be all that pleased with that, but we'll see. Hopefully that independent, that would be Hansa Mild who's upside down. Hopefully he'll be able to right it. It was difficult to tell. Simon Watman is also up on 2 wheels. I'm sorry, not on 2 wheels, on the roof. That's one of the downsides with these anti-cut curbs that are around here. This is a possible situation to end up in. As one of the Nissans ran very wide. It looks like Simon Watman unfortunately is out of the race. So that's very sad to see. He was having a pretty good race up until that point. But we can see here that Peter Blom has a massive lead to Gregor, I believe, I'd assume it's Gregor Guassan. No, actually it's Richard Wilkes. So where has Greg gone? Greg looks like he's made another mistake because he's now down to 4th position. So that gives Peter Blom, by the looks of things, probably a 15 or so second lead. Also noticed another one of the Volvos were quite far back. Or at least looked to be far back. It's Nico's, but it's still... Oh, he's in 15th, so he's made a mistake somewhere as well. Looks like his teammate. And Oliver Thiem and Matthias Weber is now in a bit of a battle here, the teammates. A German-Danish dogfight with a bit of British flair in the form of Dylan Canton right behind him in the white Honda Accord. As Thiem looks up the inside at Duffy Stip, but he ain't able to get by. Down to McIntyre's they go. Dylan closes up. And looks like Uabos has made another mistake or something, because Ray Riddell has pulled away quite a bit here. And Svenja stays very out of the way for Ray Riddell, who's closing in on oh, actually. Oh, wow. Looks like Greg has a puncture. Wow. That's very unfortunate for him. He was having a very good race. Oh, dearie me. Ray was going to lap BMW of Yves Placé, but he lost it on the brakes, and that loses him 2 positions that he will have to try and regain once again. As he moves to the inside of Svenja Tits. Very sporting, a very nice left by. Looks like Greg is still in the pits, so he clearly had more than a puncture. Must have been some kind of suspension damage or something that they are having to fix. Ooh. Svenja was going to let Matthias Weber by, but there was a bit of a moment right there, as Oliver Thiem has had a bit of a moment somewhere and lost out a bit of time. But hopefully he is at least having fun, even though he is running into issues here and there. It looks like at least first is set in stone. Second is probably more or less set in stone. Jakob Fröksen is now in 3rd position with the demise of Greg, so I think he will be very happy with scoring or sitting in 3rd, having qualified 9th on the grid. But the battle for 4th and 5th is still on between Tits and Havlik. Which I think will follow for a lap or 2. Or it looks like Tits may have a run on Havlik's Ford here, Peugeot here. Ooh, he sold him a dummy. He's looking up the inside in another audacious out-braking maneuver. He stays to the inside, but he grabs the position. Halfley escorts Havlik wide, but Tits is up into 4th. A good recovery drive for him. And Havlik still in the top 5, which I think he'll be happy with. Although it looks like Richard Coxon is closing in, but I don't think he'll have enough laps to take 5th from Havlik. My apologies if that was heard on the stream. I was having a bit of a bit of a drink. Looks like as Weber has a bit of a moment in McIntyre's. It looks like most of the field is very spread out at this point of the race, with quite a few out of the race unfortunately. But Peter Blom is in the lead by a big margin. Second for Richard Wilkes, so this is looking like a 1-2 for the Honda team. They'll be very pleased with that after having a few trying rounds, one of which were contact between the two at I believe it was Walton Park. And Jakob Ferguson in third in the Vauxhall Vectra, so again I think he'll be happy with that. Jan Tits fourth, Miroslav Havlik fifth, so he'll be happy with that as he laps his teammate. Richard Coxon with his lights on in sixth position, still trying to catch up to Miroslav Havlik. Seventh for Juha Boos with Ray Ridal in eighth right behind him. And ninth for Dave Simonson, first in the Privateer Total Cup race. But here comes Ray around outside of Juha Boos once again here. See if he can make it stick. It looks like he should be able to do so. Gets a bit of a tap from Juha Boos, who can't quite hold the line he was wanting to drive, but he gets past. So 7th for Ray Ridal, 8th for Juha Boos, 9th for Dave Simmons, and currently 10th for Matthias Weber, with Dylan Canton right behind. So Eivind Andersen has had either a moment, or Dylan has been able to pick up his pace in the late parts of this race. But anyway, I believe this is the final lap of the race. So let's ride on board with Peter Blom as he heads into Taylor's hairpin for, I believe, the final time of the first race. Coming out of it, no issues to report. And here he comes up to the start-finish line. And he takes the win. Congratulations, Peter, for another great drive right here. Second will be his teammate Richard Wilkes, who holds on off a charging Jakob Ferguson, who takes third. Fourth looks like to be Jan Tits, as he comes out of Taylor's hairpin here. Fifth for Miroslav Havlik, he is able to hold off Richard Coxon, who scores a sixth place, another good recovery drive for him. Seventh and eighth is still at it with Ray Ridal and Juha Boos. Juha Boos looks up the inside into Taylor's hairpin, but Ray shuts the door and will take 7th position here. 8th for Juha Boos and 9th for Dave Simmons, and he is the winner of the Privateer Cup race, with Matthias Weber taking 10th. Let's see, 11th for Dylan Canton, 12th for Eivind Andersen, 13th for Nikos Taikopoulos, 14th for Greg Guassa, 15th for Mick Chapman, 16th Oliver Thiem, 16th for Yves Placet, 17th for Svenja Tits. Philippe Martinelli in the end finished 18th. I think he will have retired then, because Simon Watman got 19th, 20th for Hansa Mild, David Saber 21st, 22nd for Alan Forster, and Jason White, our first retiree, unfortunately finished 24th. So with that, we can congratulate Peter Blom on his 4th or 5th win of the season, and take a small break. And when we come back, we'll be in the second qualifying of the evening. Actually, let's quickly have a chat with whoever has joined us. Let's have a look. Good evening,
Hi,
Peter.
Jonatan.
Good evening.
Hey, evening.
And congratulations on another win.
Yeah, a bit of an unexpected. I don't know. What happened at turn 1 in the first lap?
I actually didn't catch that either, but I'd assume someone hit
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel the grid now.
I'd assume one of the front guys hit the inside anti-cutting curb, and that sort of spat whoever that was into the rest of the pack, and all hell broke loose. Just one of those things with this circuit.
I was hit from behind. I don't know if Jan Tis made a good start, but I couldn't see who was next to me, and I knew Greg was next to me. We didn't touch each other, but I was hit from behind. And luckily I could continue behind Greg in the first lap, and then I decided to wait a little bit behind Greg until he made a mistake, because this is a very hard track. And it seems to be he had some problems turning into the slow corners, because I was winning a lot of time on him on the slow corners, but I couldn't pass him on straight because of his engine power. But I think Jan had some problem. Greg had some problems with his car, I think, with shifting back and to the slow corners. And after I took it, I could maintain quite a nice gap and just concentrate on not making a mistake. That was enough to win this race, I think.
It looked like after Greg went off, you had probably your easiest win of the season. But maybe looks are deceiving. As you said, the track is hard.
Yeah.
But how have you found the circuit in general, apart from hard? Because coming into this race, I know you said you hadn't seen the track before.
Yeah, well, I think I try to. Well, at least I hope everybody tries to stay within the wide lines of the track. With at least two of the two tires. But it's very hard on this narrow track, especially later in the race when you're heating up and you have less grip. It's very hard to stay in the track itself. And I saw a lot of people struggling and go outside of the white lines. And well, it happens to everyone, I think, here. Because the track is so narrow and just really track this. I don't know, but it's nice, but so different than Silverstone. Silverstone, you have room enough to go 3 wide into a corner, but here you hardly have any room for 2 cars next to each other. I couldn't even see what happened at the start. I suddenly was bumped in the back, and I'm so lucky to survive the first lap, I think.
Well, I know Jan Tits had a good start, so presumably the hit you had was off the line. That would have been him with his 4-wheel drive up the hill.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that you're enjoying the track, even though it can be a bit it can bite you if you make a mistake.
Yeah.
But what do you think? We also saw in the qualifying session 1/1000th of a second between you and Greg. Did you expect to be that? Did you expect it to be that close, or at least? Or what are your thoughts on that situation?
I don't really. Well, it's nice to get pole, of course, but if you look at the sector times, they were quite. I have to say, Greg was very fast at section 1. I was very fast at section 2 and 3, and I think if you made a slight mistake, and I'm not pointing fingers or something, because I think it happens to everyone. If you make a slight mistake and you go over the white line, you could win 1 or 2 tenths. And because this track is so narrow, and with the traffic and stuff, so the qualification for this track, I think, was really a gamble. And a bit of a tombola, and that's why you have to be lucky in traffic. And, well, you never know what people are doing inside their lap, because its track is so narrow, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I do.
So it didn't matter for me if I was first, second, or third, because I really don't have feeling at the qualification for this track. It's just too strange of a track.
Okay. Well, with that, I think we'll wish you good luck for the second qualifying and race, and thank you for joining us for the mid-race chat. And we'll now take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be in that second qualifying session.
Yeah. Okay. Hope the second race will be as much fun then.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Thank you very much.
Yo, bye-bye.
Bye.
User disconnected from your channel.
So talk to you all in a couple of minutes time here. Hello and welcome back to the HSO 1996 ninth round from Knockhill, as we are in the second qualifying session, and currently Grégoire Guassin is sitting on top with the fastest time, although that is short to, well, maybe not, as a 52.8. That's a very quick time indeed. Let's see, as more times is coming in. Wilkes setting a 53.9 and Coxon setting a 53.1. Let's see if we can have a ride on board with. I noticed some of you watching are friends with Nikos Tayakopoulos and Oliver Teen. So let's ride on board with Nikos and see how he is tackling the second qualifying session. And that was quite a hectic first race, quite a few incidents, but some really nice racing, which is very nice to see. See, now going into Duffy's Dip. Takes a lot of the inside at left-hander there, runs wide and McIntyre's though, so that equals out. Looked like a good run up until that point. Now unfortunately getting a little bit held up by one of the Peugeots. Looks like it could be Svenja Tits. It is indeed a number 5 Peugeot. But she is surely on a lap, and that's why she hasn't moved out of the way, because as we saw in the first race, she is very considerate, and when she is a lap behind and is being lapped. There is one lap for Nikos in, and he is currently 14th. Let's see if Jason White maybe. Jason White has actually jumped into one of the BMWs. Presumably one of the BMW drivers has said they will not partake in the second race this evening, but I must say I've missed if such a message has been posted. We can see Oliver Team is now also out on track, running wide at McIntyre's. Going through Butcher's, another turn that is named after a Scotsman. I can't remember his first name now, but a man named Butcher bought the farm and the land where the track is located in the 80s, and it's him that we should thank for Knockhill being the way it is. As we can see, Hansa Mild on a hot lap, roughing up Oliver Team a little bit as he rejoins after running deep in the hairpin. It looks like, oh, Hansa Mild was not sure he'll continue now. No, he doesn't. So down through McIntyre's and Butcher's here, up into the chicane. Very nice and smooth, running maybe just a tad wide, but all good, I think. As he hit the anti-cut and runs wide, going through Clark. And through Railway Bend we go, and down to Taylor's hairpin. Fairly late braking into here. Oh, just a bit too much wheel spin. Forces team wide. And let's see what kind of lap time he'll post with this lap. He is still 24th, but I'm sure he will be able to improve as time goes on. You see up front it's still Grégoire Guassin on pole, and he is flying at the moment, setting a time half a second quicker than Richard Coxon's best time so far. That is very impressive indeed. As Coxon has a straight line, the chicane, and backs off. And Ray Riddell is currently third on the grid. So that's nice to see that his pace in the first race wasn't just a one race wonder. I believe that's Richard Wilkes currently third. And Jakob Fredriksson fourth on the grid as he heads on to finish his lap. And he gets bumped down to... Oh, sorry, it's me not paying attention, he's still in fifth. Jan Tits currently sixth. And Nikos Diakopoulos, having an off at Duffy Step, but he has improved up into, I believe, 7th position indeed. And 8th for Matthias Weber at the moment. Yves Placé currently 9th after having a difficult first race. Hopefully he'll have a bit of a better second race. And currently 10th is Miroslav Havlik. So I wonder if I'd assume that's Peter Blom rejoining. Oh, I could be wrong. No, that would have been Peter Blom rejoining, so he has had some kind of internet issue. And Dylan Canton is currently the pole sitter in the Total Cup race in 12th overall. As we can see, couple of drivers trying a bit too hard in the chicane. Make that free now. And as I said during the first qualifying session and pre-race chat with Jason White, in the qualifying sessions the drivers try a bit too hard in on some laps to try and gain every bit of time they can. But there are some very nice camera angles, as I think someone had a bit of a spin up in McIntyre's. At least I saw a bit of smoke. And there's all kind of lines taken through the chicane, which is probably hands down the most difficult turn on the circuit. Let's have a look. With 3 minutes to go of the qualifying session, Greg Wasser is still on pole position, Peter Blom 2nd, Coxon 3rd, Rudolph 4th, Richard Wilkes 5th, Miroslav Havlik 6th, Jan Tits 7th, Jakob Fröksen 8th, Nikos Staikopoulos 9th, with Matthias Weber running at the top 10, Yves Placé just outside the top 10 in 11th, Oliver Thiem 12th, Dylan Canton 13th, Dave Simmons 14th, David Saber 15th, Johan Bohr 16th, Ivan Anderson 17th, Martinelli 18th, Hansa Mill 19th, with Mick Chapman, Mill's teammate 20th, as they swap positions right now, so Chapman 19th, Mill 20th, Alan Forster 23rd, Jason White 22nd, Matthew Hull has joined the server. I think he missed race 1 if I'm not mistaken, so it's nice to see him back racing with us. Now in the Vauxhall, after having swapped cars with Taikopoulos after the last round, both of them feeling that the other car would suit each other better than the ones they had. It would look like he has a bit of a high ping maybe, because the car is moving around a bit more than it probably should, but anyway, Svenja Tits 23rd, and no, sorry, that is Simon Watman currently 23rd, and Svenja Tits 24th. So as we are coming down to the dying half minute of the second qualifying session of the evening, it'll be interesting to see if Peter Blom can take another pole position, or if Greg will have it this time around, or if maybe any of the others can bump Greg off the pole position, although it would seem somewhat unlikely with almost 0.4 of a second down to Richard Coxon. And see if any one of them are out on a lap. Coxon at the moment, Vidal heading into the pits. Taikopoulos is heading for the line, so let's see if he is able to improve. He was not. Let's see, it was one of the BMWs is having a bit of a moment back there. Ivan Anderson is still out on track. Let's see if anyone else is. No, okay, so let's head back to Ivan and have a look at his tailor's hairpin here, and if he is able to improve, as I believe he is the last driver out on track to set the time, and as he pulls off, so that means Grégoire Guassat takes pole position for the second race this evening in his Volvo 850. So that is an interesting development. And I just took a moment to rest my breath or slash voice. But anyway, we are looking at the exit of Clark once again, and I believe the second race will be very interesting because people will have made slight changes to their setups, hopefully meaning that they will be faster and there will be even bigger groups of drivers fighting for each and every position. It will also be interesting to see if Greg will be able to avoid making mistakes this time around and possibly look for the win, as we can see him going up the inside of his place, going into Duffy's dip right there. He's got very sideways going through the chicane. Now I'll just have a quick ask to the admins to make sure if there is a formation up, otherwise I will go through the grid before the race start this time around, so that we don't have the same situation that we had before. OS Greg has a big roll going through the chicane right there. My apologies, so much happened during the race that I forgot that there was a formation app after a restart. Anyway, we are riding aboard with Dylan Canton, our pole sitter in the privateer class. We had a very nice qualifying, obviously with such a position being scored. And we can also see Peter Blom having some practice starts done. Trying to max out every little gain he may be able to get ahead of the race, as he has previously said that the most likely way for him to finish ahead of Greg, if Greg doesn't have something go on, to be that he takes the lead going into the turn 1. But it looks like we are now heading into the race in a moment or two. There we go, so let's go way up the field. There we are, I think. Yeah. So on pole position for this second race, as mentioned earlier, is Greg Guassin in the Volvo. Second for Peter Blom in the Honda. Third for Richard Coxon in the Renault. Fourth for his teammate Ray Riddle. Fifth for Richard Wilkes and sixth for Jan Titz in the first of the Audis. Seventh for Miroslav Havlik in the Peugeot, with eighth for Jakob Fredriksson. Just wanted to double check. Ninth for the second Volvo of Nikos Taikopoulos, and 10th for Matthias Weber in the first of the Nissans. 11th for Yves Placé in the first of the BMWs, and Oliver Thiem getting 12th in the second of the Nissans. 13th and pole in the Privateer class for Dylan Canton. 14th and second in the Privateer class for Eivind Andersen. Dave Simmons gets 15th overall and third in Privateer class. 16th and 4th in the Privateer class for David Saber in the Vauxhall Cavalier. Johan Boos gets 16th over. I really need to keep up. 17th overall. Martinelli 18th. Forster 19th with Chapman 20th. 21st for Hansa Mild. 22nd for Jason White in the BMW now. 23rd for Matthew Hull. 24th for Simon Watman, who will be starting from the pits, and 24th for Svenja Titz, Jan Titz, I believe, sister. But anyway, we are now looking at the lights. 4 are on, and the green lights are on, and the race is underway. Looks like Richard Coxon has had a decent start, as did more or less everyone else. Oh dear me, let's stop that. I was trying to get a good look, as I think that was the Peugeot of Miroslav Havlik having a moment, spinning out of turn 1. Looks like everyone more or less has survived the opening lap. Unfortunately, it looks like Alan Forster is out. Someone has had a moment in the chicane. I believe it's David Saber who's had that moment. Oliver, I believe that's Oliver Thiem. Yep, Oliver Thiem turned around the front of, tried to turn in for the turn when Miroslav Havlik was up the inside. That was not quite what to do. Simon Watman is unfortunately upside down once again. Hopefully someone will be kind enough to turn him the right way up, otherwise he will unfortunately be out of the race. The reason for the cars flipping is the way the suspensions are in these Super Tourers. The suspension has a very short travel, so the suspension is actually bottoming out, and the underside of the body of the car is hitting the curbs, and that's what's flipping the cars over, unfortunately. Looks like some of the battles to watch is right towards the back of the grid with David Saber. Oh, here comes Miroslav Havlik up the inside. A very audacious outbraking maneuver going up the inside of 3 cars. I believe that will have forced Mick Chapman way off the track, and it did indeed. Oh, Matthew Hull is heading into the pits. So that made Oliver Thiem, I believe this is at least, yep, jump out of the way and jump on the brakes, so that's why he dropped back behind Saber. Oh, as he hits the curb, but he holds it on 4 wheels. That's nice to see. Looks like Matthew Hull had a drive-through, maybe for a jump start. So he has a bit of a moment through the chicane, but holds on to it. Let's go back up the field. Just a little bit. Looks like Eivind Andersen is going to the lead in the Total Cup race, while Grégoire Guassin is in the lead, but closing in on him is Peter Blom and Richard Coxon, if I'm not mistaken, it is indeed. They are really closing in by the looks of things. Although it could be the same way this race as Peter said it was in the first race. That Greg is a bit slower in the slower turns, but then is very quick in the faster turns and down the straights. But they definitely close up in Taylor's hairpin. A bit further back we could also see, if we just jump back there, a battle for 5th, I think this is, between Fredriksson, Wilkes, Jan Titz and Yves Placé. But for now I think we'll try to cover the lead battle and try to follow what's happening the way you who are watching asked me to do it, and surely we'll be able to sort that out. Let's see. Why not? Let's have a quick rundown of the standings here. Greg in first, Peter Blom second, Will Coxon third, Ray Riddell fourth, Fredriksson fifth, Wilkes sixth, Titz seventh, Placé eighth, Weber ninth, and Nikos Diakopoulos 11th, 10th or 11th. He's in a tight battle here by the looks of things with Matthias Weber. And continuing to look further down, Øyvind Andersen. Also someone must have had a moment here. Just having a look back down the grid to see who would be missing. Well, no one looks at things for now. So Øyvind Andersen is in 11th, Juha Boos 12th, Canton 13th, Simmons 14th, Philippe Martinelli 15th, with Hans Emil 16th, Miroslav Havlik 17th, trying to make his way up the grid after his first lap troubles. Oliver Thiem 18th, David Sabin 19th, Mick Chapman 20th, 21st for Matthew Hull, Svenja Titz is 22nd, and Jason White, a few laps down, is in 23rd. Let's continue to follow this neat little bell right here for another lap or so. See if Matthias Weber can pull the move off. Oh, he looks like he's going for it, but he can't quite get the run off the hairpin. Diakopoulos holds on to 8th for the time being. We can definitely see the difference in the cars. The Volvo has a very good engine, but not the best chassis of the grid. The Nissan, on the other hand, that looked very strange. I wonder if Diakopoulos might have had a screen freeze or something. And I'll finish. Ooh, looked like it got very close there, but they avoid contact, so that's good. But the Volvo has not quite the best chassis, while the Nissan has a pretty lowly engine, being a semi-works entry for the season, but has a very nice chassis, allowing it to be very quick in the turns. A bit further back still, we can see that Juha Boos, Øyvind Andersen. Actually, Juha Boos has gotten by Øyvind Andersen, I believe. So it's now a three-way duel for the lead in the total cup class between Andersen, Canton and Simmons. So this is, I believe, fourth placed, sixth placed, and first placed in the total cup championship. As everything is going on in the hairpin, Ivan Anderson has been shuffled back to third in the total cup class. I believe 12th overall. Canton is taking the lead, and Simmons made use of Canton passing Anderson and got up to second. So that's very nice driving from them. Let's see what's going on up ahead. It's still a three-way duel for the lead. It looks like Greg is being pressured pretty heavily by Peter. Peter gave him a bit of a nudge in the hairpin, and Coxon more or less looks to be hanging back and waiting for any kind of opportunity to bite in when the time is right. It could of course also be that the pace is so high that he isn't able to quite close in. It looks like they are just about to be ready to close in on some lap traffic. I believe that's Matthew Hull, who is closest to being lapped at the moment. Was Coxon ran very deep through Duffy's Step. But let's go for another quick look at the grid, I think, and then we'll do it again around lap 20 or 25, maybe. But Greg is still in the lead with Blum second, Coxon third, Vidal fourth, Fredriksson fifth. Oh, actually, there's been a moment. Oh, dearie me. So Coxon is now in the lead, closing in on Matthew Hull. I'd assume that I didn't actually see it because I was looking down. Oh, it was like I thought. Unfortunately, we actually rolled it. But Peter Blum outbroke himself into the hairpin and hit Gregoire Guessin, who ended up in a roll and a spin and went down to second position, while Peter Blum dropped down to fifth, I believe that is, as we can see Matthew Hull at the side of the road. Hopefully there's no major damage to his car. So that's a big shuffle up of the race order for now. So Coxon in the lead, Greg second, Blum third, Ray Riddell fourth, Fredriksson fifth, Wilkes sixth, Jan Titz seventh, Matthias Weber up to eighth. So he's still ahead of Nikos Taikopoulos, as Matthew Hull is unfortunately out of the race. As is Yves Placé, I didn't catch that unfortunately. Or what the reason for his retirement was, I should say. Juha Boas runs out top 10, with Dylan Canton in 11th, Simmons 12th, Anderson 13th, so they are still keeping together. Havlik 14th, Oliver Thiem 15th, Honza Mills 16th, with Philippe Martinelli 17th, David Saber 18th, Nick Chapman 19th, Svenja Titz in 20th, and last running at the moment, 4 laps down, is Jason White. But let's get back to the action, which looks to be very fierce indeed. Apologies. Between Ray Riddell and Jakob Fredriksson, as they go ahead and lap, I believe that's Alan Forster, possibly Jason White. It looks like, at the moment at least, Ferguson is quicker than Ray Riddle, but passing around here can be a bit difficult. But he's actually under fire right now from Richard Wilkes. Oh, Richard Wilkes notches him. Oh, they just about to stay out of the wall. That was very close indeed. Looks like all of them got held up one way or another, so that promotes Jan Tits from 7th to 4th. That's very fortunate for him. And Richard Wilkes for now hasn't let the others by. I believe he may decide to let them by because it looked like he broke just a little bit too late into the hairpin, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, Matthias Weber's broken away from Nikos Taiakopoulos, and the battle for 10th is on between Bose and Canton. Simmons is trying to catch up, but I think he is lacking a few too many horses, I should say, in the engine. I believe the Honda of Canton actually has the most horsepower of the cars in the total cup, though I could be wrong because the Ford Mondeos, though Team Dynamics tuned cars, are running the Mondeo V6s. Looks like this is fairly settled for now. But up the inside is coming Jakob Fredriksson. Manages to more or less avoid hitting Richard Wilkes' rear end, but in doing so he lost all the momentum he was carrying into the turn, and Ray Riddle is looking up the inside going into Duffy's dip, but Riddle backs out of it very sensibly, I must say, and drops back behind, so Fredriksson up to 6th with Riddle 7th. The next car in Fredriksson's sight will be Richard Wilkes. Whereas Wilkes runs very wide, coming out of Clark's. But unfortunately for us, it looks like the field is fairly split up here. No real fighters, as unfortunately Philippe Martinelli has flipped outside the racetrack. Hopefully he'll be able to find an entry road. I know there is one up by the pit area, so I'd assume that is where he's heading. That will have been him hitting the curbs a bit badly in the chicane. It looks like the battle is on here because, as we can hear, someone had a bit of a moment in the chicane, I believe. Oh, they did indeed. One of the Peugeots, not sure which one. But Ray Riddle is still in close contention, and Fredriksson has gotten by Richard Wilkes. Not sure if that's from a mistake from Richard or if he may have let Fredriksson through or whatever has gone on, but Fredriksson is up into 5th position. And I believe he will be wanting to set after Jan Tits, who's a few seconds up the road, just turned through turn 1. Looks like 4, maybe 5 seconds. As it looks like there's a bit of a downtime, let's take the moment to go through the grid once again. Richard Coxon enjoys a massive lead out at the front of the field. Well, massive. I was not paying attention to the cars behind. I thought he had 10 seconds or something, but it's not more than 4 or 5. Maybe less still. But he is in the lead. Gregor Gossard lays in 2nd with Peter Blom 3rd, Jan Tits is 4th, Jakob Fredriksson 5th, Wilkes 6th, Ray Rydal 7th, Matthias Weber 8th, Nikos Staikopoulos still in 9th, with Juha Boss still in 10th, Canton still in the lead in the Total Cup class in 11th overall, Dave Simmons 12th, Erwin Andersen 13th, Oliver Thiem 14th, 15th for Hansa Mill, 16th for David Saber, 17th for Mick Chapman, 18th for Svenja Tits, 19th for Jason White, and Philippe Martinelli unfortunately retired from the race after his flip over. Havlik is also out of the race, as is Matthew Hull, Yves Placé, and Simon Watman and Alan Forster. But we are quickly closing in on the last 10 laps of the race, but and talking of closing in, looks like Greg is a lot quicker, or at least a little bit quicker than Richard Coxon, unless Richard has backed off to try and maintain a nice comfortable pace. And we just saw in the background that Peter Blom is struggling a little bit in the second race. He had a moment in the chicane, losing a lot of time, so I think he will be set for 3rd unless something happens up ahead. When a battle in the Privateer class is heating up right here, because Simmons is always Canton as a late defensive maneuver. Looked like Simmons was more or less up beside him then, but all is good. But Simmons is up the inside here after doing the cutback at Clark's, and he will try to outbrake Dylan Canton, and he's able to do so, and also holds on the exit of the hairpin. So that's Dave Simmons now up into the lead in the Total Cup race. But I'm sure Cannon won't take this laying down and try to fight back. If he can find the opportunity. As they are both coming up onto Svenja Tits to put her a lap down. This may be the opportunity Dylan Canton needs to get up close to Dave Simmons. It is indeed, because Dave runs very deep in Clark's and loses momentum on the exit. And here comes Canton up the inside, going into the hairpin. Simmons brakes very late on the outside. Canton leaves him room, and Simmons holds on for the time being. Very nice racing between the two. It looks like Richard Coxon has upped his pace because the gap hasn't closed down as quickly as I would have expected it to, or maybe Greg has had a moment, but either way the battle is not on there quite yet, so let's head back to... actually Dylan Canton must have made a mistake somewhere, because he has dropped a second and a half to Dave Simmons here. So I believe that means that unless Dave Simmons makes a mistake in his Vauxhall Cavalier, he will take the win in the second race of the evening as well. Which of course will be a nice return for him after the hardware issues he was experiencing during last round. He had a graphics card semi-failure. I helped him because he's a mate of mine. His graphics card had actually shaken loose, so it wasn't quite connected. It looked like it was connected, but somehow it had shaken loose with the wheel motion on his desk. But after unhooking it and recoupling it, all was well. So that's nice. It looks like Coxon is still enjoying a nice little lead here. The lap traffic is of course helping just a little bit to keep the gap at a constant amount, with with 7 laps to go, 6.5 laps to go. Jan Titz is still in 4th, not quite closing in on the guys ahead, but not being closed down upon either. 5th for Jakob Ferguson, 6th for Richard Wilkes, 7th for Ray Riddell, so they have spaced out between themselves. Matthias Weber in 8th is trying to close in on Ray and give him a run for his money in the last few laps, and it looks like he may be able to, but I think he's been closing in for most of the race, though of course only little by little. 9th for Nikos Taikopoulos still, and Juha Boos also still in 10th. And Dave Simmons runs deep in the hairpin. Canton is now right behind him, so Dave Simmons must have made a mistake somewhere. Looks like I believe that is still the closest battle on track. It is indeed. So let's jump down to these two guys and watch the Total Cup race for the win here. As I'll quickly let you see the lower bit of the grid, just so you can have a look for your favorite drivers, with 5 laps to go. It looks like Eivind Andersen is in some kind of trouble. Always picked up some heavy damages. Or if we may be able to see what has happened. He lost it going into the first turn, and when he corrected it, it overcorrected, and he ended up hard into the barriers. That looks like a lot of damage to his car. Possibly a double puncture as well. Hopefully he'll be able to make it back to the pits so that he can make some repairs. Looks like was that all? Who was that getting caught out by that? That was one of the Nissans. They were right behind Simmons and Co. So that was Oliver Thiem, unfortunately. Looks like he rolled over the retaining barriers, and that's unfortunately him out of the race. But back to the fight for the lead in the Total Cup. And we'll follow this to the second to last lap, and then we'll to the last lap, and then we'll give Richard Coxon, if he's still in the lead by then, his due. Because he's driven really well this race. Doesn't look like he's made any kind of mistakes. When Simmons is flashing, oh, that's Øyvind Andersen still trying to make his way back to the pits with his heavily damaged car. It looks like Canton is quicker in the from Clark's up to the hairpin and down into Duffy's dip, but then Dave Simmons is just a little bit quicker through the McIntyre, Butchers and chicane part of the lap. So despite being in very different cars, the Vauxhall Cavalier and the Honda Accord, their pace is very similarly matched. Whereas Canton ran a little bit wide through McIntyre's, with a smoke up ahead, but no issues. So it looks like Dave is under a bit of pressure here, flashing very early to the guys ahead. I believe that is why and what he's flashing at least. Wes runs deep in the hairpin once again. But Canton isn't quite close enough to be able to make use of that. As Dylan runs very wide through Clark's, trying to get a good run. We can see up ahead a bit of a battle between Nikos Tayakopoulos and Juha Bors for 9th and 10th. Let's see, I believe we are entering the last lap of the race. So let's jump back up to Richard Coxon, who has just finished the race, taking the win here in the second race of the evening. Second to Gregoire Guassin. Peter Blom comes home third. Jan Titz is fourth. Jakob Fredriksson gets fifth, with Richard Wilkes seventh. Vidal holding off Weber for 8th and for 7th and 8th. 9th is looks to be Juha Bors, who goes up the inside of Tayakopoulos on the last turn. Maybe Tayakopoulos will be able to outdrag the Mondeo, but he's not able to, so Juha Bors gets 9th and Tayakopoulos gets the top 10 with the Volvo. That's nice to see. Dave Simmons, I believe, yep, Dave Simmons took 11th place overall and the win in the Total Cup. Dylan Canton gets 12th. Honsa Mild is currently in 13th and making his way down Railway Bend into the hairpin. He may actually have finished if he was lapped. Looks like he will have been. So 13th for Honsa Mild, 14th for David Saber, 15th for Mick Chapman, 16th for Svenja Titz, 17th for Øyvind Andersen, 18th for Oliver Thiem, and unfortunately the first of our retirees. The others were Jason White, who I believe were still running but too many laps down to get by Oliver Thiem, Philippe Martinelli, Miroslav Havlik, Matthew Hull, Yves Placé, Simon Watman, Alan Force and Alan Forster. So again, congratulations to Richard Coxon for taking the win on the second heat this evening, and we'll just have a bit of a wait to see if anyone will be wanting to have a small chat after the event. Otherwise, we'll be capping it off, but I think we'll wait for another couple to 3 minutes maybe.
Attention.
User joined your channel.
As we are now joined again by
Surprise,
Peter
surprise.
Blom. Welcome back, Peter. That looked like a very difficult second race. A couple of incidents and so on going on there.
Well, first off with the start, I think it was a very exciting first few corners with I was side by side with Richard Coxon. I think we did a great job letting each other just enough room to not collide. And after that, I was following Greg for second place. Few laps, and after I think Greg was doing a great job. He was not making mistakes like he did in the race 1. So after like 13 or 14 laps, started to pull in back markers. And I can remember I was looking at Jason White, and I was thinking by myself, what the hell is that American doing here in the BTCC race? And then suddenly
joined your
I braked
channel.
too late, so it was totally my bad, and I T-boned Gregoire. And
yeah, we unfortunately
he was
caught that
flipping
on the
over
broadcast.
yeah, he was flipping over, and I knew it was my mistake, so I waited for him, and I let him pass. I don't want to overtake him, and I just waited for him, and then I tried to stay behind him, but he was very fast, and Richard took the lead, and we finished eventually 1, 2, 3, and I think Quar is a little bit mad, but sometimes stuff like that happens.
Yeah,
And
it's
I think in the race, especially in the race, if you make a mistake with another guy, you have to acknowledge that and then just wait for the other guy to pass you again, because otherwise you take advantage of the accident.
that's very
So-
true.
Yeah, I feel bad for Greg, but hopefully the next race will be better. It's also a bit of, with the narrow track. If you make one slight miss with the braking point at the hairpin, then you can easily T-bone people. So
Yeah.
this time it was my bad. So yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear you own up to your mistake, and still
Yep.
a first and a third place this evening. I think you'll be happy with that.
Not bad, I think. For the point standing, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think you
Yep.
will held on to your lead in the championship for now. We are also joined by Matthias Weber. Good evening, Matthias.
Yeah, good evening. Congratulations, Peter.
Microphone muted.
Thank you, mate. You too for finishing the race, I think.
Yeah, 2 times.
Microphone
2
activated.
times?
Amazing.
What the hell happened? Kind of
should-
black magic that you use.
Yeah, especially the second race was very, very good. I had a
Yeah.
good rhythm and was lapping faster than in qualifying every lap. Only 1/10 slower sometimes. But it I wasn't enough at the end. Ray was very close in front of me.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, but good to hear you had a good evening's racing here tonight after struggling a little bit in the last round.
Yeah.
We also saw you had a good fight with our newcomer, the Greek Nikos Taikopoulos for the opening bit of the race.
Yeah, he was much faster on the straights. It's frustrating. I think in the last corner I overtook him 3 or 4 times and never could do it to the first corner. He just pulled away. A lot of fun, yeah.
That's good to hear. And I also believe you will now have leapfrogged up into possibly 8th position in the championship standings, so I hope you'll be happy with that as well. Just a quick mental arithmetics to get which position you will probably be in. I believe you hadn't been at this track either ahead of this round, if I remember correctly, having chatted with you after the Silverstone race.
Yeah, I've never been here.
So then, how did you find the Knockhill circuit, apart from
Well, it's a
possibly
great track
difficult?
Yeah, it's nice with the topography. It's the uphill and downhill and narrow track. It makes a lot of fun. It's better than expected.
That's good to hear. So let's see. I just have a quick look because I can't actually remember where the next round is taking place. Apologies for being a bit unprofessional. So next race will be Alton Park Fosters, the shorter layout with the sort of hairpin-like thing at the end of the cascade. So, what do you think of your chances there? Maybe Peter go first?
I can remember Greg was fast at the last race, but this time we got a shorter version, I think. I think it will be very close. I think Richard Coxon in the Williams Renault will be very fast. And I don't know, maybe our fourth guy, maybe Jan Tits, or maybe another guy at front also. But it will be, I think, a track again, huh? If I heard.
Yeah, it produced good racing back in the day. Matthias?
Yeah.
I cannot remember correctly the last race, but I think second race was pretty good. But I don't know. I couldn't remember. I think the first race there was some incident. Yeah, I think I spun. Yeah, right. I spun right before that.
The Shell's hairpin, I think it was, right?
Yeah, hairpin. Yeah. I don't know if it's there in the shorter version. I think so. Yeah.
No, it's you go down the hill and then you go into the fast left-hander, but you sort of end off halfway through that, and you go straight and into a tight right-hander and down into Brooklands. The small kink in the road in that version, up and back onto Druids and Deer Leap.
Sounds good.
Okay. I see Nikos is in Team Speak. I wonder if he will be wanting to join us.
I've seen he has some fans in the live stream coverage in the chat. Peter, but the Hondas are so fast on the straights, impossible.
User joined your channel.
As we are now also joined by Nikos Taikopoulos. Good evening.
Good evening to you too.
Good.
So,
Greg.
Yes.
Reese.
So Nikos, how was your racing this evening?
Oh, it was pretty good. Fun for the first race in HSO. After the North Life 1000, which ended very dramatically for us. Me and Oliver were arriving, and it was a really bad DNF. But this was very enjoyable.
That's good to hear. Can't quite remember where you finished in the first race, but I know you got a top 10 in the second race, so I'd assume you're pretty happy with that on debut in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. In the first race, I miscalculated my fuel, I was in 8th, but I had to pit in, so I finished in 13th. And yeah, I fought from there. I had a really nice ending in race 2 with Yuha, who a friend of mine knows him from EWRC, so I respected that and I gave him all the room he wanted, and we had a good battle in the end.
Yeah, we did see part of that battle, and it looked like a very nice battle indeed. Also saw that you had a nice little battle with Matthias Weber early on in the second race as well.
Honestly, I wouldn't call that much of a battle. After he passed me, he really disappeared. I did a good job, I guess, holding him, but after that, he pretty much showed that he was the faster driver.
Okay. Well, finally, I believe we're closing in on 2 hours 45 minutes on the broadcast. Next race will be Alton Park Fosters. How do you rate your chances there?
I haven't raced Alton Park in ages, but it's always a fun track to race on. I mean, going over the climb, it's always a bit dramatic when you're going down and you don't know where you're gonna find yourself. Also, the Volvo has nice power, so I might abuse that a bit.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, with that, I think we'll be capping off the broadcast. So, actually, I know, well, maybe Mick Chapman will be on it, but if he joins us before we finish cap off, then we'll chat a bit with him as well. But I think we'll cap off. Thank you very much, Matthias, Nikos, and Peter for joining me and chatting with me, and also Jason for joining in and chatting with us before the races. And to all participants and all of you watching, hope you enjoyed yourselves, and hope you tune in next weekend when the Indianapolis 500 qualifying time trials will be running. The broadcast there will be starting at 1930 CST, that is GMT +2. But for now, thank you very much for tuning in, and hope you tune in to the next event at Alton Park.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jonatan.
Thank you very much.
Sound microphone muted.
Hope you tune in to the next event at Alton Park.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jonatan.
Thank you very much.
Sound microphone muted.